Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday evening. Last day of January. Podcast, the button list. It's going to be a fun one tonight. I actually wrote the script in advance. It was completed by 3 o'clock this morning. Don't judge me. So Heather actually has had time to review it, and we are on the same page about everything, so it's going to be awesome. But before we begin the Buttonless podcast for this Wednesday evening, I do want to say that we are going to be canceling our Saturday evening freeform stream because Heather and I have been invited. Heather, are you ready to be on?
Sure.
So Heather and I have been invited to a Regency ball.
We have.
And so we are going to go and get our Regency on. We promise to post photos and possibly videos in Discord.
Mm-hmm.
But it is to benefit Sam's school. I don't think Sam's school knows that we're really bad influences. So we're going to just kind of go in under cover of Halos.
Well, I thought you were doing my hair.
Yeah, I'm going to make you have a freaking halo. So you're going to be the sweet one and I'm going to be the stealthy evil one. This is how it's going to go. Okay? But yeah, so we will not be freeforming on on Saturday because we will be helping Sam and Sam's friends make jewelry for their outfits, and then we shall be attending said Regency ball with a bunch of high schoolers, and once again, we are not responsible for what they do after talking to us. Just saying.
Don't forget to announce ourselves at the beginning of the thing.
I will, but I just want to make sure, once again, everyone is aware that we will not be on twitch.tv/beatingdreams
but
Saturday.
that it's for a good cause.
Streaming as we normally would, but it's for a good cause because we will be corrupting high school students.
Warping the youth of tomorrow.
Yay! In costume.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome to the Buttonless Beating Dreams live podcast. I'm coming at you from Lover's Lane in Dallas. I'm Allison.
And I'm Heather.
And we are going to be talking to you this evening about the Koh-i-Noor Diamond. Okay, so this is continuing our theme of storied gemstones. I did Jane Austen meme. I will have to look again. But continuing our theme of storied gemstones that have interesting histories. The Koh-i-Noor is one that has both a very complicated, sometimes murky history, and also has a lot of political implications in the modern day. So let's start with the majority of the material that has been used to create this podcast came from first of all, Smithsonian Magazine article by Lorraine Boissonneau, which referenced a book which unfortunately I have not yet been able to purchase on this particular diamond by historians Anita Anand and William Dalrymple. It is worth mentioning that Anita Anand is actually Indian, and so, oh my god,
Amy,
Smee, we love you so much. You have so many hugs. So many hugs.
Yes.
To you. And so, Anita Anand, being Indian by extraction, there's definitely an interesting perspective that she adds to the narrative. Other items from for this podcast came from Britannica.com, Wikipedia, and various other online sources. So, let's just start with the facts about the Koh-i-Noor Diamond. So, the Koh-i-Noor Diamond currently, in its present form, weighs 105 carats. That's 21 grams. That's a lot of carbon. right there. It has been cut down, and that happened during the reign of Queen Victoria.
You'll hear about that.
Yeah, we will talk about that later. Its original weight was 191 carats. Currently, the Koh-i-Noor is part of the British Crown Jewels, and its last public appearance was in the Queen Mother's crown, as it was displayed on her coffin in 2002. Now, though Queen Camilla was crowned with that same crown in 2023, the diamond was
Hi, Terry.
significantly...
We are, yes.
We are. Hi, Terry. Was significantly not present in the crown at that coronation, and we will talk about that later when we talk about the present day political ramifications of this particular diamond. But we are going to start with the origins of the Koh-i-Noor.
So, the origins are murky, to say the least. This sucker has more origin stories than the multiverse.
Murky, like the fish tank that I forgot to clean and then killed the fish.
Yeah. Worse than that, but probably also as stinky at times.
Yeah.
Yes. So, did it appear in Mesopotamia in 2300 BCE? Was it stolen from the Raja of Malawa in 1304? Was it given to the first Mughal emperor in 1526?
Was it?
Was it plucked from the Krishna River and presented to Shah Jahan in the early 1600s? Literally every article that we checked out for this, Smithsonian,
Everyone.
Britannica, Wikipedia, etc.
Some online publications which had obvious aversions to both fact-checking and proper grammar.
Yes, not all things online are edited.
Yeah.
But they all had a different origin for the stone, and what we do know
and every
for sure,
single article presented it as fact,
Yeah,
which is
of
hilarious.
like, yes, we know.
Yeah.
So, what we do know for sure is the first time the stone can be pinned down in the written record is 1628. At that time, courtiers would bring gems at the new year to pay tribute to royalty, and also to influence and bargain for better and more powerful positions at court, which...
Why doesn't anyone bring me gems to bargain for better and more influential positions at court?
Do we have a court that I haven't learned about?
Oh, shoot.
Maybe that's your first
That's a
problem.
requirement?
I mean, to have positions at court, I would say, yeah, that's
Okay,
it's an important one.
Boo.
So, as a result of this, the treasury of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan was so filled with jewels that he commissioned a jewel-encrusted throne.
This shit is crazy.
Oh my
y'all.
gosh, seriously, called the Peacock Throne.
Mm-hmm.
The Peacock Throne took 7 years to make and cost 4 times as much as the Taj Mahal.
Giant building.
The throne cost 4 times the Taj Mahal, which was being built at the same time. So we're not even doing conversions. It just
No, it's the same currency.
same currency. So, brief description of the throne, and this is brief, which is wild, y'all. The outside of the canopy was enamel work, and it had gems just all over it. So there was a canopy and a throne. And the canopy...
It was a thronopy.
It was a throne. Yes. So the inside of the canopy, so you could sit on the throne and look up and see rubies, garnets, and other jewels, very thickly set. It wasn't sparse in any way. It was supported by emerald columns.
Like you do.
Yeah. On top of each pillar were 2 peacocks, thickly set with gems, and between each of the peacocks was a tree set with rubies, diamonds, emeralds, and pearls. Among the many precious gems that adorned the throne were 2 very famous and sizable gems, the Timur ruby and the Koh-i-Noor, although at this point, that's not what it was called. It was just a big honking diamond.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this throne just sounds ugly. It sounds terrible. I would not want to...
Would definitely not want to...
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
And interestingly, so at this point, India was also pretty much the only place that you could get diamonds. And the way you got diamonds in India was they had alluvial mining. So it was like panning for gold, but you panned for diamonds.
Thank you for adding that, because I did not put that in the script.
Yeah, I know things.
You know, Heather knows things. Everyone's shocked.
Yeah,
Everyone
sometimes
is
I'm shocked.
so
Yeah.
shocked.
But colored stones were actually more prized during a lot of this time period than diamonds, because diamonds were clear and therefore boring. But you also, during part of
boring.
During part of the period that we're talking about, there were also there were guidelines for who could wear what stone in the hierarchy of the court. So
which is roughly, if you don't mind me interrupting you, like roughly equivalent to the sumptuary laws in Elizabethan England.
Yes. So, and this was before England was all on India.
Yeah, no, this was way before.
At this point, India is being ruled by a completely different empire.
Yeah, no, we're still in the early 1600s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we actually, England is at this point transitioning to the reign of Elizabeth I, where Amanda. So the sumptuary laws in England are actually like a pace. Like we're talking chronologically. Things are apace, but they're way far separated.
Yes. So they're congruent, but not caused by one another. Mm-hmm. So the Mughal Empire ruled supreme in India for over 100 years after the creation of the peacock throne. I mean, probably because this thing weighed enough where if anyone came at you could just topple it on them. And so Delhi, the capital city,
you just chunk the giant diamonds at them. Yeah.
It was home to 2 million people. 2 million people in the 17th century. That was at the time more than London and Paris combined, like significantly more than London and Paris combined. So prosperity attracts attention.
Oh dear.
And in this case, it attracted the attention of Persian ruler Nader Shah. What happened there?
Oh, well, shockingly, Nader vanished. Okay, you would need... actually, we're going to talk about strong men throwing stones later in the broadcast.
We're also going to talk about how heavy these things are.
Yeah.
In a minute.
So, Nader Shah invaded Delhi in 1739 because, hey, look, they're so prosperous they have a gemstone throne.
Plus a Taj Mahal.
Plus a Taj Mahal, plus a treasury full of gems and jewels. Mm-hmm. In several articles that I read describing Nader Shah's invasion, the word carnage was used, so I'm just going to go ahead and summarize that it was not pretty. I mean, I would almost... The word sack was not used, but I mean, all of the things that I read, it's like the sack of Delhi.
I feel like sack is actually a gentle word for what was going on.
Well, Nader left with a whole lot of sacks.
Yes,
he
did.
left the city with so much gold and so many gems, including the peacock throne, that it took, according to, and this is the Smithsonian article, so I'm giving this article the primary credence, says that it took 700 elephants, 4,000 camels, and 12,000 horses to transport his booty. So, like, this is a real life...
Takes that much to transport my booty.
I mean, yes. My booty has expanded during the pandemic, so it's true. But there's like a real life Aladdin moment here. We'll have another real life Aladdin moment a little bit later. But yeah, like, seriously. 700 elephants, 4,000 camels, 12,000 horses. That's a lot.
I mean, just the 700 elephants is plenty.
Yeah, that's a lot
ridiculous.
of hauling power. So one can only imagine how much loot. That's because we are each other's people,
yes.
Julie. So Nader Shah departed Delhi with so much loot, including the peacock throne. However, Shah plucked from the peacock throne both the Timur ruby, which is another storied stone which will be featured in another podcast, and the diamond, which the currently unnamed giant ass diamond. Okay? Like, so this is the diamond to be named later. And so, according to legend, upon beholding the diamond in his hand after it had been plucked from the throne, Nader exclaimed Koh-i-Noor, which means in Persian, mountain of light. And that became the name that the stone would be known by until the present day. Also, the faceting pattern of the stone was, and the stone is what I meant. And we'll talk more about this in a minute, but the stone was faceted in the Mughal style. So basically what the Mughals and stonecutters of that time, their priority was, one, preserving the size of the stone. So rather than cutting down to the best bits, the prize there was the biggest rock, and then doing artistic faceting to kind of enclose and encompass the original shape of the stone and make it into an artistic work. So the faceting that had been done on the stone looked also like a mountain. So hence Koh-i-Noor, mountain of light. Now, one of Shah's consorts said of the value of the Koh-i-Noor, if a strong man were to cast 4 stones, one north, one south, one west, and one east, and then cast a 5th stone straight upwards, if the entire space in between were filled with gold and precious gems, this would not equal the value of the Koh-i-Noor. And this fanciful explanation of value is actually present in several different contexts. Like this valuation of the stone, as crazy as it is, kind of trickles down through history, and we see that a lot in future accounts of the stone. So Nader Shah invaded Delhi 1739, took the throne, took the stone, took all the jewels and the gems on the elephants and the camels and the horses, and then for the next out of India, okay, into what would be present-day Afghanistan, for the next 70 years, the stone passed from ruler to ruler to ruler in a series of luridly bloody episodes, including but not limited to a king who blinded his own son and a deposed ruler whose shaved head was crowned with molten gold. So yeah, Game of Thrones did not invent that. That was actually a real thing.
Yeah.
So
in 1813, after all of this bloody stuff,
good vibes.
Yeah. Shah Shuja, who was the current possessor of the stone at that moment in 1813, fled to Lahore. Is it Lahore? Or
I think it's Lahore.
In India, and found refuge at the court of Ranjit Singh. So Singh demanded the stone as a gift for his hospitality.
Please give me your giant diamond as a gift.
Yes.
Generously. Mm-hmm.
Ranjit's request may or may not have been accompanied by his current torture of Shuja's son.
I mean, those flaming irons, they were just there and he just fell on them.
Yeah. So why not give me a diamond about it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A big-ass diamond.
The big diamond, yeah. So upon acquiring...
Not as big as the Cullinan, but we're going to do that one in a future cast as well.
Well, that one wasn't really in play at this time in the world, really. Well, it might have been in 1813. But anyway.
I'm going to torture your son. You're going to give me a diamond. And where do we go from here?
As a thank you for my hospitality. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So, upon acquiring
Please don't cut off my son's, naughty bits.
Yeah. I mean, Game of Thrones. So, upon acquiring the stone, Singh immediately placed it upon his turban and paraded through the city on an elephant to display his... Yes, speaking of another real-life Aladdin moment. There's a history of people just getting the stone and being like, I'm immediately wearing this if I have to duct tape it to myself.
Yep.
And then doing so and parading with it. With
Singh,
one or more elephants.
Singh really had an intense relationship with this diamond.
Really did. He loved this thing. Loved
like 1980s stalker loved.
Yes.
Like what's the song? Every Breath You Take.
Yes. Yes. So his attitude toward it is what really cemented it in legend as a symbol of power and potency. So the more attached he got to it, the crazier he got about it. So later in his reign, he still had it, and he was still alive, which is a minor miracle during the history of this stone. He became so paranoid about it being stolen that he kept it under heavy guard at a fort. And not yet, Julie. We're getting into that. Whenever it was transported, it was in a closed container on a camel. And the camel with the diamond was hidden within a caravan of 39 identical camels. And the Secretary of the Treasury, who must have been quite the trusted human, was the only one who knew which camel carried the gem. And he died in 1839. Ranjit died in 1839 after a series of strokes. Which, seriously, he didn't die a bloody death. But he intended to bequeath the diamond to a sect of Hindu priests, but that was thwarted by both the court, his court,
later Singh,
and the gem passed to his son. But there was also in Britain at the same time, and this was a little nugget that I just loved. And by loved, I mean wanted to throw things about.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So in Britain, they decided there was no way that, because now this diamond is on their radar as well. They're like, there is no way that thing is going to these heathens. They aren't even real priests, so they don't deserve that.
There was actually all kinds of awful things said about the priests.
Yeah.
But the funny thing, I think, is that Ranjit's court was also conniving to...
Yeah, of course they were.
To, keep the diamond away from the priest. And at this point, which you probably read in the article, Ranjit, after 3 strokes, could only communicate through gestures. He couldn't speak anymore.
Which makes sense.
So, that made everything a whole lot easier for everybody who's like, oh, he wants this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he had made his wishes very clear.
And yet.
But lived past where he could continue to make them as clear as they were. So, anyway.
But yes, so the British press was up in arms because they had decided that this diamond, should not go to these pagan heathens.
Yeah.
So, after Ranjit's death, I am very sorry for all of his heirs and family. The Punjabi throne passed between 4 different rulers in 4 years. Just heads up, none of these rulers voluntarily advocated, so...
Abdicated.
Yes,
that one.
So blood and gore and violence, etc. So
The usual.
Yeah, the usual, but 4 in 4 years is a lot. Like, that's a very, compressed progression of violence. So around 1844, 5-year-old Duleep Singh landed on the throne. And he managed to hold onto the throne with his aunt?
Mom. Yeah.
Until 1849. And around 1849, the British imprisoned his mom. He was 11 years old, 10 years old, 10 years old. And he was pressured by the British to sign, and that's your guy, Julie.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, he was pressured by the British to sign an amendment to the Treaty of Lahore, legally transferring ownership of the Koh-i-Noor to the British Empire. So this is... Hi, Silver! This is one of the kind of baseline when we get to the latter parts of this cast. One of the baseline things about the dubious provenance of the Koh-i-Noor and the fact that it was actually legally deeded to the British Empire. However, it was deeded to the British Empire through putting pressure on a 10-year-old boy. So
yeah, extreme duress.
So the validity of that legality is definitely up for debate. Duleep Singh was placed under the guardianship of an English doctor, and eventually he moved to England and lived out his life in exile.
So, after this point, the diamond was presented to Queen Victoria as a spoil of war by the East India Company, who was foremost in...
They were totally, really good guys.
Yeah.
The East India Company.
They were the ones who started the whole, this can't go to the heathen priests. They started all of that, and definitely, yeah, the East India Company did some stuff.
And some things that were shady AF.
Yes, but
just saying.
Definitely presented things to royalty and other people in power to...
Also glad you're still hanging, Amanda.
Yeah, to cement their own power, because, boy, the East India Company had enough money to be a country and one of the top countries in the world for a very long time. They were like the 0.5%. Yeah, they were.
Of the day.
Yeah, they looked down on the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 1849, they gave this diamond to Queen Victoria, and it was displayed at the 1850 Great Exposition.
Thank you for intuiting that number that I forgot to put on there.
I assumed it wasn't in 185, because that was a while back.
But the EITC, okay, I feel like the EITC, they are the good guys, needs to be on the button list. Mm-hmm. But continue, please, Heather.
They are absolutely the good guys. They're nice guys, is what they're the nice guys.
They're the nice guys. They're the quote unquote nice guys. Yeah.
Only the last 25 minutes.
Only that.
So this diamond was displayed at this great exposition, and it was not very well received because the British public was not used to seeing diamonds cut like this. So, because it was cut in the Mughal style, which favored size and natural shape over brilliance and faceting and catching the light and all that, they did not love it so much. So it was 191 carats at this time. Mm-hmm. And
what did they say it looked like?
Well, I'm getting there.
I'm sorry. It's not
it had flaws visible in it, and the public characterized it as a piece of common glass. We're talking of
how at this point, how many people have been killed for this thing.
For the piece of common glass.
For the piece of common glass.
I mean,
it's at least a dozen.
The limit does not exist.
Yeah, seriously.
Because we're only talking about the people in power. We're not talking about everybody around them.
Right, which is actually an interesting, which I don't think I put in the notes, but I'm going to address in my next section.
So Prince Albert decided, you know what? This isn't going over the way we wanted. I'm gonna have this diamond recut. So he spent, he engaged some expert cutters with the finest machinery available at the time, and the 191 carat Mughal cut.
Corvus is volunteering to take the common glass.
Well, unfortunately, the common glass
diamond
is gone now. So, it got cut down to the 105 carat diamond we know today. The recutting took 38 days and shockingly only cost 8,000 pounds. Like, I feel like...
Okay, but that's 8,000 pounds in, like, 1850.
Well, I know. And I realize it doesn't include the cost of the diamond, but they also got the diamond for free. So
right? Seriously.
They got it for free.
Well, and I will say, as the one who did most of the research for this, that there are a number of... There's a lot of disparity as to who actually recut the stone. There are some things that suggest that it was the cutters who actually recut the Orlov diamond, which we'll also deal with in a future podcast. But there are a couple of just kind of weird discrepancies. So I didn't include the name of the cutter because
we can't.
I don't know.
We aren't confident about it.
There were so many. There were enough different cutters named in the articles that I don't know who actually recut the diamond.
Somebody did, and they made it really, really shiny. So apparently the brilliance after the recutting was staggering. And so the palace arranged to show poor Duleep Singh, who was stolen from his home in India and taken to England, which is, of course, the exact right climate for someone from India.
Yeah, in England, totally the same climate as India.
Yes, especially during a mini ice age, as they were having during the Victorian era.
Yeah.
So he was rendered speechless, which I think I would also be speechless.
Possibly for many reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was really extra shiny now. So the recut stone was worn by Queen Victoria as a brooch and a circlet, but Victoria had very complicated thoughts and feelings about India in particular, but other countries in general. She didn't love the British Empire's method of obtaining the stone. So in 1870, she wrote to her daughter, "No one feels more strongly than I do about India or how much I opposed our taking these countries, and I think no more will be taken for it is very wrong and no advantage to anyone. You know also how I dislike wearing the Koh-i-Noor." And so she kind of stopped. Like it gave her squicky feelings, which is phenomenal considering.
Yeah. But
so despite her sentiments, India did not achieve independence from British rule until 1947. So that's, you might note, after the end of World War II.
yeah. So the Koh-i-Noor has been reputed to have a curse. It has been reputed to be bad luck for male rulers, but there is a strong possibility that comes from the fact that it was a very rare and valuable stone that existed in a period where most rulers were men. So everyone who kept getting killed so that people could take this gem were all men. So then it passes to Queen Victoria at a point where female rulers are finally taking the world stage and becoming accepted, at least in the UK. And, and all of a sudden the Koh-i-Noor is not cursed for females. So that may not be any kind of mystical nonsense surrounding the Koh-i-Noor, but more just the way that the times evolved. And yes, that last statement that Heather read was from Queen Victoria, that to her daughter Victoria, Princess Royal, in 1870. So since the gem was given to Queen Victoria, it has been worn exclusively by women. And it bears mentioning, and this is something that is conflicting factually in some of the articles that I read, but I have found more to the side that I'm about to say than to the opposition. So at this point, the gem is the personal possession of Queen Victoria, and it did not become integrated into the crown jewels of Great Britain until after her passing. After she passed, it was set into the crown of Queen Alexandra and then the crown of Queen Mary. And in 1937, by the way, still before India has achieved independence, the gem was set into the Queen Mother's crown, which was actually the coronation crown of the then Queen Consort Elizabeth. So the Koh-i-Noor has been now integrated into the crown jewels. It has been used to crown a queen. And then
something happened after 1937.
Something happened after 1937, and it was called World War II. So just as an interesting non sequitur, because this really doesn't have much to do with the history of the jewel as a public figure, or as far as...
It's just too cool to leave out.
I know! It's not cool, it's quirky. Okay, so during World War II, the crown jewels were first moved to Windsor Castle for safety, and then into a specially constructed tunnel for their safe preservation. The larger stones from all of the collection, including the Koh-i-Noor, were removed from their settings and concealed in cotton wool, which is basically like cotton batting, then placed in a glass jar, then placed in a biscuit tin.
I will take that biscuit tin.
So not your average biscuit tin sewing kit.
Was it Dansk?
I don't even
Royal
know.
Dansk.
Mm-hmm. But so the jewels all survived World War II, and then we are coming out of the fog of World War II, and we're coming into the modern age where
we
topics
so where we start to look at the
we
past
start to look at the
with a different
past
lens.
of the stones with a better lens, and see what has been taken from a country or a people without proper etiquette, proper whatever. But with the Koh-i-Noor, there's a whole lot of stuff. So
obviously the stone has the shadow of the stigma being colonial loot. Technically.
But this has been passed and bounced around Europe and Asia since at least the 1300s, possibly 2300 BCE. So
I mean, we have no idea. Murky enough to kill fish is the history. So part of the problem is, at this point, there are multiple nations and peoples with very strong claims as to who would be the rightful owner of the stone. So India, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan are among the nations who claim ownership of the stone. Each of them cites a particular moment in the diamond's history, and The British government maintains, of course, that the stone was legitimately obtained, and as such, its status is non-negotiable.
Because the 10-year-old was so...
capable of making legal decisions
that
would stand up for the rest of time. Yes.
But here we go.
So...
because this one's a doozy.
Yeah, so Britain is aware that there are some questions and requests to its spoils of exploration, shall we say. British Prime Minister David Cameron, who certainly was something, he was in India itself in 2010, and responding to what he should have said no comment. He really should have said no comment.
That would have been so much better.
It would have been. But a reporter
instead,
said, asked him about the Koh-i-Noor. And he said, if you say yes to one, you suddenly find the British Museum empty.
Womp womp.
Yeah, the poor British Museum. Yeah, unfortunate. And it wasn't just a slip of the tongue either, because he reiterated those sentiments on more than one occasion, including in 2013, that's on the record. So, yeah, I mean, imperialism alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Tory.
Yeah. Yep.
Nothing?
Yeah. So currently, let's just leapfrog ahead to the present day. The British Crown is aware that items like the Koh-i-Noor are controversial.
Yes.
The British Crown is not really interested in engaging in dialogue regarding these items. So they're basically doing what I do when I have to do something that I don't want to do, and they're hiding. Like, I'm hiding right now. You can't see me, right?
Can't see me.
Can you see me?
No, I can't see you.
Well, it's a podcast. You can't see either of us. But, yeah. So, what the British Crown is doing is limiting the exposure of the diamond due to its controversial nature. Queen Camilla was crowned in 2023 using the Queen Mother's crown, but apparently it was actually her decision to not have the diamond set in the crown for her coronation due to its controversial nature. There is a revised there's a revised exhibit currently in progress about the crown jewels that states to present a more accurate history of all of the jewels in the collection. I will say that I have read the exhibition cards, and they're still strongly weighted in favor of the British Empire. Because I'm just going to throw it back for a minute. Like, the British Empire's stance on the Koh-i-Noor is that it was a gift.
Yes.
From
Duleep
Singh to the British Empire. Like, it was a present. He was like, oh my god, British Empire, I love you. Here, have diamond. Like, and that is not what happened. See, what happened was they leveraged a 10-year-old boy to get a prop.
Whose mother was being held by them
to get a prop that personified power for them. And so that's, that's a spin, that's a fairy tale, whatever. So this particular exhibition gives a slightly more realistic narrative of the Koh-i-Noor, but still doesn't really drill down on the, like, hey, we leverage a 10-year-old kid to get this thing.
And to be fair to the British Empire, most of the worst stuff about the Koh-i-Noor had nothing to do with them.
I mean, once again, there's a giant diamond, and people keep killing each other to get it. Killing each other, kill. Political machinations, treaty, kill. Like, it's, and once again, this is why repatriation is complicated, because there was so much killing.
Yes.
So much killing, so much transfer, but the widely accepted view is that India is the last sovereign country to legally possess the diamond. It was taken immorally by the British. Should be repatriated to India.
Definition of a blood diamond.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, there have been several compromise plans proposed, like a joint museum on the Indian-Afghani border where the diamond could be displayed, and the government of Britain really is just firm on that's what they're saying. Corvus.
Actually, they're saying you gave.
Yeah, they're saying you gave, we won't give back. Like, they're saying that the status of the diamond is non-negotiable. So at this point, there are no plans to repatriate the diamond to India or any of the other countries that claim possession. And in fact, the British monarchy doesn't really want to talk about it. They are...
Only David Cameron wanted to talk about it.
Only David Cameron wanted to talk about it, and the rest of them just are doggedly and with British stoicism avoiding the subject. So, that's the end of our little history of the Koh-i-Noor. I would be interested for all of y'all to give us, for the last couple minutes of this cast, your views on, like, what do you think? What do you think should happen? Do you think that the diamond should go back to India? Do you think it should go to a museum where it can just be admired by all? Do you think that because the British technically, legally own it, that they should have it for all time and eternity? Like, what do y'all think?
I still think it would be really cool if we had a museum that was on a ship and just sailed in international waters, and you could see all the things that would cause blood and fire if people actually got to fight over them again. And
I mean, I don't know necessarily on a ship, but maybe in Switzerland, since they make a huge thing about that. Like, all of the contested things, like, go to a central place where all can come and visit them.
Well, I mean, that's why I was thinking a ship, because you could go all over.
Right. But
I mean, Switzerland's not super convenient to...
Yeah, mountains India. And all.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, everybody's got to give everything back. But
I'm glad I am not in charge of making these decisions.
Me too. I'm so glad that nobody hired me for that job.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
And so actually, Amanda just... And I do want to, and this may piss off some random viewers, not any of our regular viewers, but Amanda did just make a good point of if the diamond goes back to India, that people might be more likely to steal from India than steal from the UK, and this is, in my opinion, because of the color of skin. Because if you go to the artwork and things that were looted by the Nazis during World War II, which were mostly looted by white people from Jewish people who are, for the most part, white presenting, there's no equivocation.
Yeah.
About
that was done so quickly.
About the fact that they should go back.
Mm-hmm.
But because these things were looted from people of darker colored skins, is that why we are more reluctant to repatriate them? Because we value the ownership claims of people who have brown skins less than the people who have white skins. And that is something that is definitely a major factor in this conversation.
Also, the legal, quote unquote, legal claim is according to British law. That's not the British Empire is claiming we have this due to this legality, completely based on their own laws. That doesn't. Other countries have completely different ways of denoting possession, and some countries don't even have such a thing as possession.
Well, and there are lots of child rulers who have signed treaties.
Yeah.
You know, and once again, so
I mean, there are some rulers, childish rulers of Britain who have signed some questionable treaties too, so.
But so then you step back from the legality and you look at the morality. Like, this was a child who was put in an impossible position.
Yeah.
And chose to mortgage their own country's cultural inheritance in order not to be killed. Like, you know, it's all completely shady. And yes, so I'm gonna end this podcast with my own opinion. I'm gonna let Heather have her own opinion after me, but I personally think that all of the shady things should go into some central, non-secular, what am I trying to say?
Partisan, just
non-partisan, just a neutral museum where everyone can see them, learn from them, where scientists and scholars can study all of these things, but where they're not, because I wonder, like, financially, like, is Great Britain, like, claiming the Koh-i-Noor on its tax return? Like, you know, just some central, neutral location where they're available for all to study, to see, to observe, probably not to touch, because then, like, but that's my opinion. Heather, what is your opinion?
I also agree that all of these things that have such cultural significance to the place they're from, that value is immeasurable. I mean, it's not just, you know, even if Britain or America or whoever were to purchase it, it's not the same. You know, so many things in the British Museum and things in the U.S.
In the U.S., like American museums, like, we are not exempt from this.
We aren't. I mean, hardly anyone is exempt from this, honestly. Mm-hmm. But it's so hard. I want these cultural things to be safe. I want the history to be available. I don't know what the right answer is. I know that not enough people are at the table to talk about it. We are pretty much inviting the people who already agree to talk about it. And the other people are not at the table. They can give their opinion, but they're not at the table. And it's so hard. I wish there were a way that we could come up with to value other people's history the same way that we value the monetary value of that. And I don't I know that is
that's a
pie in the
whole
sky.
other podcast right there.
Yeah.
But so yes. So respect everybody's history.
Yes.
Respect everybody's treasures. And
don't wear the Koh-i-Noor Diamond.
Don't wear the
especially if you're a man.
Koh-i-Noor Diamond, yes. And yeah. We are colonizers and appropriators, and it's important, I think, to recognize that because that is one of the other things in all of the articles I read about the Koh-i-Noor is how time and time again it was stated that the Koh-i-Noor is a part of British cultural history and the British cultural identity, and it is, but only because it was stolen and made such. So as free-thinking humans, I think it's our... Oh, good night, Amanda. Sleep well.
Good night.
And it's almost time for me to go to bed too. So,
yes.
But I'm gonna end with this, unless Heather wants to end with something else. But as free-thinking humans, it is our responsibility to transcend that which we have been told, think for ourselves, and do the research and see past the things that we have been told are so.
Yes.
And in that quest, learn new things, expand our horizons, open up to new ideas and new thoughts, and hopefully enlighten ourselves in the process.
Welcome other voices.
Welcome. Dang. You just took my, and you just, in a sentence. Okay, so yes. Welcome other voices. That's my takeaway from this evening's podcast.
Mind you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's definitely time for me to go to bed, and Heather is probably also wanting to go to bed, so we will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/beating dream tomorrow with the live sale.
Yes,
thank
also
you.
othered
Yes.
voices, yes.
Yes. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate your perspectives, and we will be back tomorrow with a sale. We'll be back Friday with a tutorial. Saturday we will be dark because we will be going to a Regency ball.
Ball!
And then, yes. And then next week we'll be back with our regular schedule. What? Oh. Okay. So, yeah.
I'm Heather. This is Allison while she's yawning.
Yes. All right. So, yes, we will post photos of the ball on Discord. And we love you all. So we'll catch you tomorrow for the sale. All right.
Bye.
Love you. Bye. Thank you. Maybe.